Hi everyone, welcome to TNT. Today we're focusing on just one editorial written by nationthailand.com. The title of the editorial, Cambodian Crisis Lays Bare Thailand's Deep-Rooted Dysfunction. And let me tell you, the writer of this article, who signed the article, and it would have been signed off by the editor at Nation Thailand, doesn't hold back. We'll get to that in just a moment, or some of the features of that article anyway. But I just wanted to very quickly preview a video that I'm doing probably in the next couple of days. I was just working on the script and I did do quite a lot of research and digging into documents, and the more I read, the more I was horrified. It's basically about the scam centres in Cambodia. And when you think about scam centres contributing to a country's GDP, well, that's a horrifying enough thought. But when I saw the percentages that were quoted by a large range of NGO, international reports, freelance journalists, they're all talking about a number, a percentage of Cambodia's GDP, which horrified me. What sort of number would horrify you? Have a think about it. They're talking about 60% of Cambodia's GDP at the moment coming from these scam and fraud centres. Now that story is coming up in the next few days, and I think you will be quite interested in what we have to report. But let's go to this article from Nation Thailand, and I'll just pick out a few of the different paragraphs. I will put a link in the description so you can read the full report in Nation Thailand, or the full editorial. It starts with this paragraph: the long-standing warnings that Thailand is a nation plagued by systemic decay and teetering on the brink of collapse, if not already a failed state, have never rung truer than in the current Cambodian crisis. Well, to say the least, that opening paragraph certainly got my attention. Let's go on. The next paragraph says, this episode has exposed the entrenched fragilities of our institutions, especially the protracted political dysfunction at the core. So all this coming from Nation Thailand, one of Thailand's longest running English language news sources. It says that the General Border Committee meeting this week, that's on at the moment, will not bring closure to the crisis. Instead, this border dispute with Cambodia is likely to linger, simmering in the background and gnawing at public confidence for the foreseeable future. Well, that GBC meeting between Thailand and Cambodia started yesterday, runs until tomorrow, and then on the 7th of August, envoys from United States, China and Malaysia will also be involved in the wrap-up. And it goes on. Let us not continue to let others say, mockingly, that Thailand has everything: fertile land, rich culture, mild climate and strategic geography, but suffers one fatal flaw: it's inhabited by Thais. The problems that have become glaringly obvious and which we must urgently address are... So I'll just go through each of these points briefly, but you can read the entire article in the description below. And it starts off: political paralysis and a broken leadership pipeline. Thailand's political system is beyond repair. Well, that doesn't leave much to the imagination. Let's move on to number 2. Leadership vacuum lays bare the failure of old politics. And it says that in the middle of a national security crisis, without a real Prime Minister or Defence Minister, and then further down, the first 2 points clearly show that old-style politics can no longer lead the country forward. Any attempt to cling to power through outdated means will only push the nation towards even greater danger. So maybe the solution, maybe the hope, is new blood, new politicians, but the writer doesn't really give that much credence either. And he speaks about the myth of the new generation party. Those who position themselves as a new political alternative have yet to prove they can govern. They speak in polished sound bites. And then further down, beautiful rhetoric might win votes, but it does not solve real problems. Which of course takes us to number 4, what they describe as a hollowed out military. The Thai armed forces haven't seen real combat in decades. Instead, segments of the military are fixated on power games, some via formal mechanisms, other via backdoor manoeuvres. And then the next paragraph: while the military establishment chases headlines, budgets and promotions, the true frontline soldiers are left to fight. alone and uncelebrated. And then specifically about the Thailand-Cambodia conflict, the failure of border management. And this is not limited to the Cambodian frontier. Other border areas are riddled with unresolved issues. Worse still, there's no unified authority with the full mandate, clarity or capacity to address them. So Thailand also shares borders with Laos, with Myanmar and Malaysia. And just in the Malaysian case, in just the time I've been living here, I've written articles about the southern insurgency. I've read the statistics. I've read hundreds of stories about conflict down there and the many, many meetings between the people on one side of the border and the other. Nothing ever seems to get resolved. Indeed, just in the 14 years that I've been here, I really haven't seen one concrete move towards resolving that particular insurgency. And then this point, which I'm not so sure about, heading a communications disaster. Thailand's communication apparatus has failed catastrophically. Despite having capable professionals, we lack a centralised, credible voice. Our public messaging is fragmented, inconsistent, and often counterproductive. Well, I'm not so sure about that one. I mean, even in the English language, we seem to get a lot of information out of the Thai government, and they've got their own media outlets covering everything from social media to daily publications. And then in their native language, there is just a whole lot more. I really do think the Thai government does a pretty good job of communicating with its people. What do you think? Let's move on to number 7, diplomatic decay. And it says, today, however, we seem incapable of resolving even our own problems, let alone contributing meaningfully to global issues on the international stage. Well, internationally, I think Thailand's always been fairly well known for its neutral stance on a number of geopolitical issues. Not really sure whether Thailand's ever been seen as a heavyweight in geopolitics, but they've certainly made their stance clear, and as ASEAN's second largest economy, they've always been well involved with things like ASEAN and different trading blocs. And then finally, a fading civic conscience. And it says that the decline in civic responsibility is stark. Requests for public cooperation, especially during crises, are routinely ignored. People flout rules for personal gain, even when national security is at stake. And down the end of the next paragraph, it's reminiscent of the early COVID years when some Thais flaunted rules and acted with impunity, from street thugs to cabinet ministers. And then signed off by a Pakon Pongnet. And then something so vivid and so critical of its own country, especially at this time, would had to have been signed off by the editor of The Nation. But on its Facebook post, it did get a bit of reaction just very quickly. C. Anatar said, "Sorry, very wrong time to write this opinion. It is just an opinion piece. In times like this, we should all unite until the crisis is over, stand as one." But Wipada disagreed, saying, "As a Thai and someone who greatly supports freedom of speech, I really do appreciate this piece." And then further down, Thailand isn't ruled by a dictatorial regime and have no need to shush away criticism. But then someone called Michael Rowe, assumedly a foreigner, decided to get into it, and he laid out a few of his own points, talking about Thailand's strategic location, diversified economy, robust export sector, tourism industry, skilled workforce, infrastructure development, foreign investment appeal, growing digital economy, resilient agriculture, and trade agreements. So whilst the writer of the editorial had plenty of negative points to say about Thailand, there's at least one foreigner, and I'd put my hands up as another, to say that there are many positive things to consider about Thailand at the moment as well. But a Mr. Andy Cooper decided to put the foot in, and he said the old saying that you reap what you sow springs to mind. Add in the corrupt courts, broken education system and the police, and you pretty much got it sewn up. And then he signed off by saying, "I've said it for some time, Thailand is living in the past, banging on about ideas around soft power get you nowhere in the 21st century." So there you go, the cat amongst the pigeons, plenty to comment there. I was just very surprised to see such a critical article and particularly the points they were making being written by one of the leading publications in Thailand at a time like this. But I'm of course interested to hear on your various comments for and against some of the points were made, and any other points that you would like to make. So over to you. Quite an interesting article, and we do look forward to bringing you that other story about Cambodia in the next few days. I think you'll be very surprised. Please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for dropping in today, and we'll see you next time.